Yamaha V-Star 650 is a cruiser that's been turning heads since 1998. Classic styling, a rumbling V-twin, and a decent price tag. But is this beloved mid-size cruiser the reliable companion it claims to be? Or is it a ticking time bomb waiting to empty your wallet? Let's find out. Let's start with what makes the Yamaha V-Star 650 special, because understanding its DNA is crucial to answering our big question. When Yamaha introduced this bike in 1998, they weren't trying to build the fastest cruiser or the most technologically advanced machine on the market. No, their goal was simpler and in many ways more brilliant. Create a durable, dependable classic cruiser that everyday riders could actually afford and maintain. At the heart of this philosophy sits a low-compression, under-stressed V-twin engine. Yamaha deliberately engineered it to operate well within its mechanical limits, which means less strain, reduced component wear, and ultimately, a longer lifespan with fewer catastrophic failures. And the numbers back this up. Owners consistently report getting exceptional service life from these bikes. The general consensus from the riding community is clear. When treated right, the V-Star 650 rarely lets you down. It's become a favorite entry-level cruiser not because it's the most exciting bike out there, but because it's dependable as sunrise. Plus, let's talk fuel efficiency for a second, because this matters more than you might think. The V-Star 650 averages around 47 miles per gallon. That's seriously impressive for a cruiser. But now, before you rush off thinking you found the perfect problem-free motorcycle, let's talk about reality. Because every bike has its quirks, and the V-Star 650 is absolutely no exception. First on the list, timing chain tensioners. These little components have a job of keeping the timing chain at the proper tension, and when they fail, they can either become loose or break entirely. When that happens, you'll start hearing ominous engine noises, and if you ignore those warning signs, you're looking at potentially serious engine damage. Then there's the ignition system. Some V-Star 650s experience issues with faulty starters and ignition coils. And the most annoying symptom? Difficulty starting, especially in cold weather. Speaking of starting issues, let's talk about batteries and electrical drains. Bad batteries are part of motorcycle ownership. They don't last forever, especially if the bike sits unused for extended periods. But some V-Star 650 owners report parasitic electrical drains, little gremlins in the system slowly sucking power even when the bike's turned off. Leave it parked for a week or two, come back, and the battery's dead. Not a huge deal if you ride regularly, but definitely annoying if you're an occasional weekend rider. Carburetor concerns are another recurring theme. Remember, the V-Star 650 is carbureted, not fuel injected. That's old school technology, which has both advantages and disadvantages. On the plus side, carburetors are relatively simple and rebuildable. On the downside, carburetor jets can get clogged, synchronization can drift, and you might need periodic cleaning, tuning, or even a complete rebuild to maintain smooth running. If the bike sits idle for months, expect carburetor blockages and fuel system troubles. These bikes need to be ridden, not stored. Some riders also report clutch issues, either needing adjustment or experiencing slipping. Not universal, but common enough to mention. And because this bike uses a choke system for cold starts rather than modern fuel injection with electronic enrichment, you're going to be using that choke lever on cold mornings, waiting for the engine to warm up properly. It adds time to your pre-ride routine in winter, which some riders find charming and others find annoying. Well, here's the twist. The Yamaha V-Star 650 has been in production since 1998. It's essentially an evolved variant of the earlier Yamaha Virago 535, just scaled up to 650cc for more torque and better highway capability. The bike's design is fundamentally based on technology from the late 1990s, using a carbureted engine when the rest of the industry moved to fuel injection, relying on mechanical systems instead of electronics. So how can it possibly compete with modern cruisers in terms of reliability and real-world usability? Aren't newer designs with fuel injection, better electrical systems, and updating components simply superior? Well, the V-Star 650's outdated technology is actually one of the greatest strengths when it comes to long-term reliability and ownership costs. Modern fuel-injected bikes are wonderful. They start instantly in any weather, they self-adjust for altitude and temperature, they deliver precise fuel metering and optimal performance. But here's what they also deliver: complexity, expensive electronic components, and diagnostic headaches when something goes wrong. When a fuel injection system fails, you're often looking at dealer visits, expensive sensors, specialized diagnostic equipment, and repair bills that make you wince. But the V-Star 650's carburetor? It's mechanical, physical, understandable. If it's not working right, you can usually figure out why with basic tools and a service manual. Jets are cheap. Rebuild kits cost maybe $50. You can synchronize carbs yourself with an inexpensive tool and some patience. The electrical system's straightforward, no complex ECU, no maze of sensors, no mysterious error codes. This simplicity means lower maintenance costs and greater mechanical accessibility for DIY-inclined owners. People who wrench on their own bikes love the V-Star 650 precisely because it's not stuffed with electronics they can't troubleshoot. And here's the kicker. Because this platform's been around since 1998 with minimal changes, parts availability is excellent. Aftermarket support is extensive, and there's a massive knowledge base of experienced owners who've seen and solved virtually every problem these bikes can throw at you. So yes, the technology is older, but older doesn't mean worse. It means proven, debugged, understood, and maintainable. For many riders, the trade-off is absolutely worth it. Now let's talk about actual ownership costs. If you're comfortable performing basic maintenance yourself like oil changes, brake pad replacements, chain adjustments, spark plug changes, carburetor cleaning, your annual maintenance costs will typically run around $500. That's remarkably affordable for a motorcycle. If you're not mechanically inclined and rely on dealership service, costs go up naturally, but they remain reasonable compared to more complex bikes because the V-Star 650's straightforward design means labor times are typically shorter. Techs don't have to spend hours diagnosing obscure electronic issues or removing half the bike to access basic components. Parts are widely available and affordable. The bike's fuel efficiency means you're spending less at the pump. Insurance costs are typically low because it's not a high-performance sports bike. Everything about the V-Star 650's ownership economics works in your favor if you're a practical, cost-conscious rider. The electrical and ignition system checks should absolutely be part of your regular maintenance routine. These are the areas where the V-Star 650 shows its age and where problems tend to crop up. Stay on top of battery health, watch for starting difficulties, and address any ignition weirdness immediately. Catch problems early in their cheap fixes. Ignore them, and they can snowball. Despite being marketed and sold as an entry-level beginner-friendly cruiser, essentially the bottom rung of Yamaha's cruiser lineup, the V-Star 650 has developed this passionate, almost cult-like following among experienced riders, custom builders, and long-distance tourers. So how did a bike that was designed and marketed as simple, affordable beginner cruiser end up earning such devoted loyalty and respect from riders who could easily afford and ride much more expensive, powerful, and prestigious machines? Well, this is because the V-Star 650 earns loyalty not through performance numbers or cutting-edge technology, but through character, approachability, and the way it makes riders feel. Experienced riders talk about the V-Star 650 having a big bike feel without being intimidating or overwhelming. It's large enough to feel substantial on the highway, comfortable enough for all-day rides, torquey enough to be genuinely fun, but forgiving enough that it doesn't punish mistakes. That's a sweet spot that's generally hard to find. Long-distance tourers report that the bike's comfort, reliability, and surprisingly capable highway performance make it a legitimate touring option despite its mid-size engine. Sure, you won't set any speed records. You'll arrive at your destination just as satisfied and significantly less financially stressed than if you'd bought a $25,000 touring bike. Custom builders love it because the classic cruiser frame and engine layout provide an excellent foundation for creativity. The mechanical simplicity means modifications are straightforward. What all of this reveals is that the V-Star 650 succeeds by focusing on the fundamentals that actually matter to real riders: comfort, reliability, affordability, mechanical accessibility, and that intangible quality of just being enjoyable to ride. It's not trying to be the fastest or the most technologically advanced. It's trying to be a good motorcycle that serves its riders well, and it succeeds brilliantly at that mission. Now, let's address some lesser-known quirks that owners should be aware of. Some riders report the V-Star 650 running lean if carburetors are improperly adjusted or modified. Systems include smoky exhaust or performance quirks that seem mysterious until you realize the carburation is off. But the good news? Returning to stock settings usually resolves this completely. It's a reminder not to get too creative with modifications unless you really know what you're doing. Also worth mentioning, these bikes don't respond well to neglect or long periods of sitting idle. If you're someone who rides seasonally and stores the bike for months at a time, You need to prepare it properly for fuel stabilizer, battery maintenance, proper storing conditions. Do that, and the bike will fire right up in the spring. Skip it and you'll be dealing with carburetor cleanings, dead batteries, and frustration. So let's bring this all together and answer the big question. Is the Yamaha V-Star 650 a reliable bike or money pit? The verdict is clear. This is a reliable motorcycle when properly maintained. It's not a modern cutting-edge machine with the latest technology. It's not going to win any performance awards, but it delivers something arguably more valuable: dependable, affordable, accessible cruiser performance backed by over 2 decades of proven design. Is it perfect? No. Carbureted design requires more attention than fuel injection. The electrical system can be quirky. Cold starts take patience. But these aren't deal breakers. They're character traits of a classically designed cruiser that prioritizes mechanical simplicity and long-term durability over modern convenience. For riders who value dependable performance, low running costs, mechanical accessibility, and classic cruiser aesthetics over the latest technology, the V-Star 650 is an excellent choice. It's earned its reputation honestly through decades of reliable service to thousands of riders around the world. So, in an age where motorcycles are becoming increasingly complex, stuffed with electronics, traction control, ride modes, and systems that require dealer diagnostics when they fail, is there still a place for simple, mechanically straightforward bikes like the V-Star 650? Or has the industry rightly moved past this type of design? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this deep dive helpful, hit that subscribe button. We have more videos coming your way.